Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture of this course finite element method. So this is the continuation of the earlier lecture of this second module. So we were discussing the one-dimensional problems in this second module, and earlier we have seen that the concept of the discretization, then numbering of the nodes, then there we have discussed the local coordinates, global coordinates, and then we have discussed the different numericals based on the one-dimensional and two-dimensional concepts. So today we will be discussing the concept of the shape function and the stiffness matrix. So for all these two cases we will be discussing their mathematical representation, and based on those mathematical representation we will be discussing some numericals in the next lecture. So today we will be discussing only the derivation for the mathematical representation that will be used to solve the numericals. Okay, so let us start this lecture. So the concept of the shape function we will discuss first. So in this finite element method, actually what happens that if the values of the field variable, these are computed only at the nodes. The nodes or nodal points, these are known to us. At the corner points of the elements, these are known as the nodes or nodal points. Now if the values of the field variable, these are computed only at the nodes, then how are values obtained at other nodal points within a finite element? So this is one of the most important point in case of the finite element analysis concept. So in this case the interpolation concept, it actually comes into picture. So what happens, the values of the field variable computed at the nodes, these are actually used to approximate the values at non-nodal points by interpolation of the nodal values. So in this diagram figure 2.17 we can see that this is a triangular element, and here three nodal points are there, the corner points, but within these triangular elements we have considered three non-nodal points. So to find the values in these three non-nodal points, the interpolation method we need to use for the nodal values. From the nodal point values, the interpolation, using the interpolation method, we will find the values of the non-nodal points. So this is the concept actually. Now the nodes are exterior, and at any point within the element the field variable is described by the following approximation relation. The relation is like this, that phi, it is the field variable, so phi xy, this is equals to n1 xy phi 1 plus n2 xy phi 2 plus n3 xy phi 3. So this phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3, these are the values of the field variables at the nodes or the nodal points, and this n1, n2 and n3, these are the interpolation functions. Now these n1, n2 and n3, these interpolation functions, these are called as the shape functions because they are used to express the geometry or the shape of the element. So this is the concept of the shape function, that to find the value of the non-nodal points within an element, we use the interpolation concept or interpolation process of the values of the nodal point. So in that case there is a relation, it is phi equals to n1 phi 1 plus n2 phi 2 plus n3 phi 3. So in this case phi 1 phi 2 phi 3, these are the field variables, and n1 n2 and n3, these are the shape functions or the interpolation functions. And these interpolation functions are known as shape functions because these are used to express the geometry or the shape of the element. Now the shape function has unit value at one nodal point and zero value at the other nodal point. So this thing we need to remember, the concept of the shape function, and that the shape function, it is having a unit value at one nodal point and zero value at the other nodal points. Now, in one-dimensional problem, the basic field variable, it is actually displacement in case of the structural analysis. So you can write the formula as U equals to sigma n1 ui, where u is the displacement. Now for two noded bar element, the displacement at any point within the element is given by u equals to sigma ni ui, so which is actually n1 u1 plus n2 u2, where u1 and u2, these are the nodal displacement. Now in this diagram figure 2.18, we can see that a bar element is considered, and at its ends, two different displacements, that is u1 and u2, these are considered. So in such cases, that is a two-noded bar element, the displacement can be mathematically represented as u equals to n1 u1 plus n2 u2. u1 and u2, these are the nodal displacements. Now in two-dimensional stress analysis problem, the basic field variable, this is displacement. So u equals to sigma ni ui and v equals to sigma ni vi. So for three-noded triangular element, the displacement at any point within the element, it is given by u equals to sigma ni ui. This is equals to n1 u1 plus n2 u2 plus n3 u3. V equals to sigma ni ui. This is equals to n1 v1 plus n2 v2 plus n3 v3. So in this case, the u1, u2, u3 and v1, v2, v3, these are the nodal displacement for three-noded triangular element. So this formula in case of a bar element, that is in case of a one-dimensional or two-noded bar element, or it may be a two-dimensional stress analysis problem, or it may be a three-noded triangular element. So in all those cases, the formula for the displacement, that is sigma ni ui. So this type of formula we need to remember to solve the numericals. This shape function is having some properties, like the first derivative should be finite within an element, then displacement should be continuous across the element boundary, and the characteristics of the shape function, these are like the shape function has unit value at its own nodal point and zero value at other nodal points, and the sum of shape function is equal to 1. Next, the shape functions for two-dimensional elements are 0 along each side that the node does not touch. And number 4, the shape functions are always polynomials of the same type as the original interpolation equations. So these characteristics of the shape functions we need to remember. It will be required and it will be helpful to solve the numericals. Next, we are having the polynomial shape functions. Now the polynomials, these are generally used as shape functions due to some reasons, and the reasons are like that differentiation and integration of polynomials, these are quite easy. Now it is easy to formulate and computerize the finite element equations. Next, the accuracy of the results can be improved by increasing the order of the polynomial. So this type of thing we have seen in case of the Rayleigh-Ritz method, where if we have used and that actually two different terms while considering the polynomial function or the approximation function, and whatever the error we have received with the exact solution, that error we could have minimized if we would have increased the order of the polynomial. So that thing we have seen while discussing the Rayleigh-Ritz method to compute the potential energy and Rayleigh-Ritz parameter. And lastly, actually we have computed the maximum bending moment and maximum deflection. So there we have seen this type of concept. Now the approximation of a non-linear one-dimensional function by using polynomials of different order It is actually shown here in this diagram. So in case of the constant approximation, then in case of the linear approximation, and in case of the quadratic approximation. So the difference in between the exact and the approximation function, these are actually shown here. Now let us consider displacement u. It is a field variable. So in case of case 1, that is in case of the linear polynomial, for one-dimensional problem, the formula for the displacement as a field variable, this is actually u equals to a naught plus a1x. Then for two-dimensional problem, uxy, this is a naught plus a1x plus a2y. And for three-dimensional problem, uxyz, this is equals to a naught plus a1x plus a2y plus a3z. Next, in case of the quadratic polynomial, for one-dimensional problem, the mathematical representation of the field variable u equals to a naught plus a1x plus a2x square. And for two-dimensional problem and for three-dimensional problem, these are the mathematical representation which we have already discussed in the earlier module while discussing the general steps of the finite element method. And such type of polynomial function we have used while solving the Rayleigh-Ritz method in case of a bar element, because in case of a beam element we have used the approximation function as a trigonometric function. Now let us discuss the derivation of the displacement function u and shape function n for one-dimensional linear bar element based on global coordinate approach. So for this derivation, we need to consider a bar element with nodes 1 and 2, which can be seen in this diagram 2.20. Here a bar element is here, and its each end you can see at its end 1 and 2 there are two displacement functions u1 and u2, and these are the displacements at the respective nodes. So this u1 and u2, these are considered as degrees of freedom of this bar element. Now since the element has got 2 degrees of freedom, so it will have two generalized coordinates. So this is equals to a0 plus a1x, where a0 and a1, these are global or generalized coordinates. Now this is our equation number 2.15. So if we write this equation 2.15 in matrix form, then it can be written as u equals to, within matrix 1x, then the vector a0 a1, this is 2.16. Now we need to use the boundary conditions. That means from this diagram 2.20 you can see at node 1, when u equals to u1, then x is equals to 0, and at node 2, when u equals to u2, then x equals to L, that is the total length of the bar element. Now if you put these values in equation number 2.15, these boundary conditions, then we are getting that u1, this is equals to a0, and u2, this is equals to a0 plus a1L. So these are the equations 2.17 and 2.18 we are getting here, putting the boundary conditions. Now if we arrange the equations 2.17 and 2.18, that means these two equations in this earlier page, if we represent these two equations in a matrix form, then you can write that u1 u2, this is equals to 1 0 1 L in the matrix and multiplied by a0 a1. So this is our equation number 2.19. So this u star, this is actually the degrees of freedom, C is the connectivity matrix, and A is the generalized or global coordinates matrix. So this equation number 2.19, this can be written as, instead of u1 u2, you can write a0 and al. then the matrix, that is the connectivity matrix, will be its inverse and then multiplied by u1 u2. So this part we got from the earlier page. So from this equation number 2.19, if we write the value of the generalized or global coordinate matrix, then the connectivity matrix will be inverse multiplied by the degrees of freedom. Now we need to do the matrix inverse of this matrix 101L. So if we do this part, then we will be getting the last step of this slide, that is A0 A1, that is the generalized or global coordinate matrix. This is equals to 1 by L, L0 minus 1 L, then multiplied by U1 U2. This is after the matrix inverse that we have got here. If we substitute A0 A1 values in equation number 2.16, means in this equation 2.16, instead of A0 A1 we need to put this value here. So that means ultimately we are getting this expression, that is U equals to, within matrix 1x, then multiplied by 1 by L, then L0 minus 1 1 multiplied by U1 U2. So here if we do the matrix multiplication, and this row column concept, this is actually familiar to us in case of this matrix multiplication. Then after two different steps we are getting this equation 2.20, which is U equals to L minus x by L to x by L, this is within matrix, then multiplied by U1 U2. Now this L minus x by L, this, instead of this part we have written N1, and instead of x by L we have written N2. So what are these actually? So that means the displacement function U can be written as N1 U1 plus N2 U2, where the interpolation function or the shape function N1, this is equals to L minus x by L, and the shape function N2, this is equals to x by L. Now here the N1 and N2, these obey the definition of the shape function, that is the shape function will have a value equal to unity at the node to which it belongs and zero value at the other nodes. So if we check this characteristic of the shape function, then at node 1 x equals to 0, so that means N1 this is equals to 1, and when x equals to 0, in that case N2 this is equals to 0, and at node 2 when x equals to L, in that case N1 we are getting as 0, and the value of N2, which is x by L, this is equals to 1. So that means the properties of the shape function, it is satisfied here. That means the shape function N1 and N2, these are having a value equal to unity at the node to which they belong and zero value at the other nodes. And in case of this bar element, for its node 1 and 2, we have considered the value of x equals to 0 and x equals to L at node 1 and node 2. So this is the derivation of this displacement function for a bar element. Next we are having the stiffness matrix. Now in order to get an expression for the stiffness matrix in finite element method, we need to review the strain energy expression in structural mechanics. So what is that? Let us consider omega 1, omega 2 up to dot omega n. These are nodal displacement parameters known as the degrees of freedom. This W1, W2, Wn, these are the corresponding nodal loads acting at degrees of freedom. Now omega and W, these are column metrics. Now this W, this is being a column matrix, it can be represented as W1, W2, up to Wn. And omega, this is also a column matrix, so it can be also represented as omega 1, omega 2, omega 3 dot dot up to omega n. Now this mathematical representation, that is W, this is equals to K into omega star. This is actually known to us, this type of mathematical representation in case of the stiffness matrix, which we have discussed while discussing the general steps of the finite element method in module 1. In this equation 2.22, W, it is actually the nodal loads, and K, it is the stiffness matrix, and omega star, this is the degrees of freedom. Now from this equation 2.22, we know that the nodal loads and the corresponding degrees of freedom, these are linked through stiffness matrix. Now the formula of the work done, that is P, this is equals to strain energy. So P equals to half W1 omega 1 plus half W2 omega 2 plus half W3 omega 3 dot dot up to half Wn omega n. Now this can be written in matrix form as P equals to half, then row matrix W1, W2, W3 dot dot Wn multiplied by a column matrix of omega, that is omega 1, omega 2, omega 3 dot dot up to omega n. So this P can be written as half W transpose multiplied by the column matrix of omega. So this is our equation number 2.23, that is the work done we are getting here. Next, if we substitute the equation number 2.22 in equation number 2.23, it means in this earlier slide we are substituting this column matrix of W in this equation number 2.23 in the column matrix of Wt. So we can write P equals to half, then the multiplication of K into omega star, it's transpose multiplied by omega star, column matrix. So it can be written as this work done, this is equals to half omega star transpose multiplied by K, which is a symmetric matrix, and it is also multiplied by the column matrix of W star. Now as A, it is a symmetric matrix which we have seen earlier, so K transpose, this is equals to K. So this is equation number 2.24P. This is a strain energy equation for a structure. Now here we need to find the expression for stiffness matrix K. From this equation 2.24, we need to find the expression of the stiffness matrix K. So for that, let us consider one-dimensional element U1, U2, U3, dotted up to Un. These are the degrees of freedom of that element. Now we know that the strain matrix E, that which is a column matrix, it can be represented as a multiplication of the strain displacement matrix, that is B, which is a row matrix, and multiplied by the U star, which is a column matrix. So this formula, it is very much required to solve the numericals based on the stiffness matrix concept. So E equals to B into U. So where E is the strain matrix, B is the strain displacement matrix, and U star, this is a degrees of freedom, and it is a column matrix. So E transpose, this is equals to B transpose multiplied by U star transpose. This is our equation number 2.26. Now we know that the concept of stress, that is the mathematical representation of stress by strain, this is the Young's modulus. So we can write as in matrix form, that is the column matrix of stress, this is equals to row matrix of Young's modulus multiplied by the column matrix of strain. So you can represent this E, that Young's modulus, as the row matrix of D. Now the strain energy expression is given by actually U equals to integration of V, that is half strain matrix transpose and sigma multiplied by dV. So this is the expression for the strain energy. Now if we substitute Et and sigma values from the equation number 2.26 and equation number 2.27 in the equation number 2.28, then we can write integration for the volume, that is half B transpose U star transpose into row matrix of D multiplied by the column matrix of E dV. Next, if we substitute the E values, then we can write this equation as U equals to half U star T, it is outside the integration, and inside integration we are having the B transpose multiplied by D matrix multiplied by again the B matrix. So we have used the value of the E matrix, and then multiplication of the U star matrix and dV. So ultimately, after rearranging, we are getting the equation number 2.29 here. Now from equation number 2.24, we know that P equals to, that is the strain energy or work done, P equals to half omega star transpose multiplied by K multiplied by omega star, it is its column matrix. Now if we compare these equations, that is equation number 2.24 and equation number 2.29, then we are getting that omega star transpose, this is equals to U star transpose. So that means omega star, this is equals to U star. Next we can write that the stiffness matrix K, this is equals to integration over V, the B transpose multiplied by D multiplied by B into dV. It is for the integration over V. So this is the expression of the stiffness matrix K. It is integration over V, then B transpose into D into V and dV. So here this B, it is the strain displacement relationship matrix which we have seen earlier. Then D, it is the elasticity matrix or stress strain relationship matrix. So this representation of the stiffness matrix, that is K equals to this integration over volume, then BT D B dV, this 2.30 number equation. This representation of the stiffness matrix we need to remember, and we will apply this formula to solve the numericals based on this stiffness matrix concept. Now in one-dimensional problem, strain E can be written as du dx, where u it is the displacement function. So the row matrix of this D, this is equals to row matrix of E, so which is equals to E Young's modulus. Now in case of any beam problem, the strain E, this is actually the curvature, that is d2u dx2. So we can write this D equals to, it is the row matrix D equals to row matrix EI, so flexural rigidity. So these are the different mathematical representation of the shape function and the stiffness matrix. We have discussed the derivation for those two different terminology we have discussed, and this formula we need to remember to solve different numericals. Now there are different properties of the stiffness matrix, like we have seen for the shape function. Like the stiffness matrix K, this is a symmetric matrix, then the sum of elements in any column must be equal to 0. It is an unstable element, so the determinant is equal to 0. Then the dimension of the global stiffness matrix K, this is equals to n into n, where n is the number of nodes. Now it follows from the fact that each node has only 1 degree of freedom, and the diagonal coefficients are always positive and relatively large when compared to the off-diagonal values in the same row. So these are the properties of the stiffness matrix, which also we need to remember to solve the numericals, which are some shortcut method. So these are the things that we have discussed in this lecture. So we have seen the concept of the shape function, then the linear polynomial and quadratic polynomial expression for the 1, 2 and 3 dimensional cases. In case of its displacement, the expression we have seen. After that, the properties of the shape function, and in case of the bar element, the mathematical representation of the shape function we have discussed. After that, the concept of the stiffness matrix and its mathematical representation of the formula we have seen today, and the properties of the stiffness matrix also we have discussed. So this type of formula for the shape function and stiffness matrix we need to remember while solving the numericals in the next lecture. So this is the end for this lecture.